Lena stood at the edge of the old Everhart estate, the dusk light brushing her cheeks in warm amber. The envelope trembled slightly in her hand, though she had read it twice. It bore the Everhart crest, something she hadn't seen since James disappeared 2 years ago. The letter hadn't come by post. It had been slipped under her door that morning. No postage, no fingerprints, just 5 words scrawled in James' unmistakable handwriting across the seal. You were never supposed to know. Her breath caught each time she replayed those words. The last she had heard, James was halfway across the world in a diplomatic post, gone without warning after their whirlwind romance and the box of letters he'd left behind, signed, sealed in love. It was supposed to be their closure, and she had tried, really tried, to move on. But James was never just a man. He was an Everhart, and Everharts didn't vanish. They orchestrated silence like symphonies. Her fingers grazed the broken wax seal again. Inside the envelope, a key and coordinates. Coordinates that led her here, to a part of the estate so hidden even if family records hadn't listed it. The door creaked open as she pushed it, heart hammering in her chest. Dust motes hung in the air like secrets, frozen mid-whisper. Inside was a room untouched by time. Mahogany shelves lined with leather-bound volumes. Portraits of stone-faced ancestors watching with sharp eyes. And there it was, a box, identical in size and shape to the one James had given her before he left. But this one was locked. Beside it, an old brass placard read, "The Everhart Protocol, to be opened only by the one who truly loves and is truly loved in return." She knelt, inserting the key. It clicked. The lid opened with a soft hiss of old air. Inside lay an ornate journal, its pages thick and handwritten by James. But not from their past. These entries were newer, dated only months ago. Lena's throat tightened as she read the first line. "If you're reading this, I've failed to protect what matters most. And now, you must finish what I started." The pages outlined something far more dangerous than a love story. It was a plan, a code, a network of hidden alliances, code names, and Lena's name written in the margins, over and over again. She turned the last page, eyes burning with disbelief. Taped beneath, it was a photograph. James, in a suit, in some kind of bunker, and standing beside him a woman, smiling, holding his hand. Lena's heart cracked down the center. She leaned closer. It wasn't a photo from the past. It was dated last week. A cold breeze swept through the room, rustling the curtains. And then, a shadow moved behind her. Footsteps. She turned sharply. A voice spoke from the doorway. "Lo, familiar. You weren't supposed to find this yet." Lena froze, her breath catching mid-exhale. The voice in the doorway was unmistakable, smooth, commanding, with a hint of a British edge sharpened by secrets. James. He stood in the doorway, soaked in shadows but unmistakably real. Same sea glass eyes, same crooked smile. But something about him felt different, hardened, like he'd lived lifetimes since he walked away. "How are you even?" Lena began, but her voice cracked. James stepped inside, slow and measured, closing the door behind him with a soft click. "I told them not to bring you into this," he said, his gaze flicking to the open journal on the table. "You were supposed to be safe." Lena's jaw clenched. "You left me with love letters and silence. And now I find your journal, a picture of you with someone else, and some kind of blueprint for him. Espionage." He looked down, running a hand through his hair. "It's not what it looks like." She scoffed. "Isn't that the classic line?" James moved closer. "Her name is Elise. She's not what you think. And that photograph wasn't for you. It was meant as a warning." Lena crossed her arms. "A warning for me? You don't get to play protector anymore. You don't understand. The Everhart Protocol wasn't about inheritance or legacy. It's a fail-safe. My grandfather created it to guard something dangerous. A formula." Lena blinked. "A formula? For what?" James hesitated, like the next word tasted like poison. "Mind control." Silence exploded between them. "You're joking," Lena whispered. James stepped to the desk and lifted a second journal from a false bottom in the box. The formula was tested during the Cold War. Everhart Pharmaceuticals buried the evidence. My family kept it hidden for decades. But someone's trying to resurrect it. Elise, she's part of them. She was sent to infiltrate. I played along. Lena's thoughts spun. Then why the photo? James met her eyes, anguish in his. Because I think Elise knows I'm onto her. That photo was staged and sent to you to break your trust in me. They knew you'd come here. A sick realization clawed at Lena's chest. You led them to me. A beat. James exhaled. No, you led yourself. You opened the box. Suddenly, a low whirring sound filled the room. Metal shutters slammed over the windows. The door behind James sealed shut. Wait, what's happening? Lena shouted. James ran to the wall, punching a hidden panel. They've activated the failsafe. They think the protocol has been breached. He checked a blinking screen. Less than 6 minutes before this place goes into lockdown. Then we shut it off, Lena said. James shook his head. No, the only override is at Everhart Labs. In Geneva. Lena stared at him. Then we go to Geneva. No, James stepped closer. You do. He pressed a flash drive into her hand. This has the original formula. The only copy. Get to a man named Dr. Serum. He's the only one who can destroy it safely. And you. James smiled softly. I'll buy you time. The floor beneath them rumbled. Lena's panic surged. You're not staying here. Not again. A hidden panel in the far wall hissed open, revealing a narrow tunnel lit by red emergency lights. Lena, James said, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. If you ever loved me, run. Trust me now just once more. She hesitated, tears in her eyes. You idiot. I never stopped. Their lips met in a fierce, desperate kiss, full of all the years they'd lost and all the truths they couldn't say. Then she turned and ran. The tunnel sealed behind her with a metallic slam. Above ground, Lena burst out into the cold night air, heart racing, flash drive clutched in her palm. She didn't notice the black SUV idling across the field. Inside it, Elise watched through binoculars. She picked up her phone. She has it. Initiate protocol, phase 2. Lena stepped off the train in Geneva as a light snow dusted her shoulders, cloaking the platform in eerie silence. Her fingers curled tightly around the flash drive James had given her, now hidden inside the lining of her coat. Every footstep behind her felt like a threat. Every glance in her direction, too long. Her only lead, Dr. Serum. According to James' scribbled instructions, Arden had been part of the original research team before going underground. Former neuroscientist turned whistleblower. If anyone could destroy the formula locked in the flash drive, it was him. But there was one problem. Dr. Serum was supposed to be dead. Or at least, that's what the obituary had claimed 6 months ago. Lena followed James' coordinates to an antique bookshop hidden between 2 wine bars in Geneva's Old Town. A bell above the door chimed softly as she entered, the air inside heavy with dust and secrets. Behind the counter, an elderly woman looked up from her ledger. I'm looking for the mine's architecture, Lena said carefully, using the coded phrase James had written in the journal. The woman blinked once. Author, Lena hesitated. CA. The woman gave a subtle nod and pointed toward a staircase behind a curtain. Downstairs. Be careful. Some books change the reader. Lena descended into a dimly lit cellar lined with crumbling tomes and time-worn manuscripts. In the center stood a man in his early 60s, silver hair tied back, sharp eyes that missed nothing. He turned as she approached. I was told you were dead, she said. He smiled dry. A necessary illusion. Keeps the wolves confused. She handed him the flash drive. His expression shifted the moment he plugged it into a secure port. My God, he whispered. This isn't just the formula. It's the enhanced version, genetically adaptable. Who else knows you have this? Only James. And Lena hesitated. Maybe someone named Elise. At the mention of the name, Arden paled. Elise Marin? You know her? He nodded grimly. She was one of the researchers who helped create the second iteration. Brilliant, unstable, obsessed with control. She went rogue after the shutdown. Lena felt her pulse quicken. She's after it now. She staged a photo with James, sent it to me to manipulate me into unlocking the protocol. She wanted me to bring this to you. She wants it destroyed? Arden asked. No, she wants me to think that. James believes she wants to activate it. Arden unplugged the drive. Then we must act fast. We can destroy the data, but the chemical components, they're still being synthesized. There's a facility just outside Zurich. If she gets her hands on a live serum. A loud pop echoed above them. Gunfire. The bell above the shop door jingled violently. Arden grabbed Lena's arm and pulled her through a hidden exit behind the cellar shelves. We've been compromised. They raced into the snowy alleyway, Arden locking the grate behind them. Where do we go? Lena asked, breathless. To the Zurich facility, Arden said. We stop the serum, or everything James did, everything you're risking, will mean nothing. As they ran through the back streets of Geneva, Lena couldn't shake the feeling of eyes on her. 30 miles away, in a luxury hotel overlooking Lake Zurich, Elise stood before a screen filled with security footage. She watched Lena and Arden vanish into the shadows. A man entered the room behind her. They're en route to the Zurich lab, he said. Elise didn't turn around. Good. Let them think they're ahead. She pulled up a digital schematic, displaying the lab's ventilation system. Prepare the inhalant version of the serum, she said coldly. The moment she steps inside, Lena will be our first test subject. The black van screeched to a halt outside the Zurich bioresearch facility. Lena jumped out before it fully stopped, Arden close behind her. Snow swirled under floodlights, and the scent of chemicals stung the air. This place looks abandoned, Lena said. That's how you know it's operational, Arden muttered. The front doors were unlocked. Too easy. They slipped inside. The interior was cold, sterile, quiet. Too quiet. This way, Arden said, scanning a panel with a stolen keycard. The steel door hissed open, revealing a vast lab lined with glass containment units. Beakers bubbled. Holographic displays rotated molecule diagrams mid-air. At the far end, 3 canisters, glowing, marked in bold red. Serum number 9, active. This is it, Arden whispered. We destroy these, we end it. Lena moved toward the closest canister, hands shaking slightly as she raised the crowbar. But something flickered in the glass. A reflection. Behind her. She turned. Too late. A needle sank into her neck. Lena gasped, stumbling. Her vision blurred. Elise stepped out of the shadows, lowering the injector. You were always the obvious choice, she said smoothly. Perfect genetics. Perfect resilience. And such a romantic little heart. Lena collapsed to one knee, heart pounding. What did you? The aerosol formula would have taken hours. But this is the concentrated dose. Fast. Precise. Elise, Arden barked, stepping forward. 2 guards blocked him instantly. She smirked. Selim, still playing savior, even after you destroyed our work. I saved people from your obsession. Not this time, she said. The protocol was never about prevention. It was a selection process. We needed to find the right host. James played his part brilliantly. He led her right here. Lena blinked, mind clouded. James, no. He wouldn't. Oh, but he did, Elise purred. He's not who you think. He never was. Lena's body trembled. Heat flared through her spine. Her pulse screamed in her ears. Arden tried to reach her. Fight it, Lena. Your mind is stronger than the serum. Remember who you are. Elise turned to him. You forget. Serum number 9 doesn't erase who they are. It amplifies it. Lena's pupils flared gold. Her fingers flexed, then clenched into fists. Glass cracked in the nearest beaker. Elise grinned. Look at that. Beautiful. Lena rose to her feet, slowly, fluidly, eyes burning like molten steel, and smiled. But it wasn't the warm, uncertain smile of the woman James once kissed beneath starlight. It was sharp, controlled, calculated. She turned to Elise. Phase 2 is complete, Lena said. Elise blinked. What? I'm not your test subject, Lena continued. I'm your result. A flash of light burst from her wrist. A hidden pulse disruptor James had slipped into her coat lining. The lab's power grid exploded. Arden dove for cover. Elise screamed as the emergency shutters dropped. Lena lunged, disarming the nearest guard in 2 swift moves, smashing the second against the console. She turned to Elise, pressing her boot to the woman's chest. You wanted evolution, Lena whispered. Now meet it. Elise stared at her, lips parting in shock. Lena raised the injector and emptied the rest of the serum onto the floor. You lose. The floor erupted in fire. Hours later, smoke coiled into the gray dawn as emergency crews swarmed the ruin of the facility. Arden stood watching the wreckage. A body bag passed him. Another, and another. But not Lena. She was gone. No trace. No signal. No pulse. 2 weeks later, James Everhart stood at a pier in Oslo, watching the waves. A package arrived by courier. No return address. Inside, a single envelope. He opened it slowly. One photo. Lena, alive. Hood up. Eyes calm. Behind her, the ruins of Zurich's lab. On the back of the photo, in her handwriting, signed, sealed, awakened. Protocol complete. You were right to trust me, but you should have told me everything.